Hey everybody and welcome back to the Real Film Podcast Christmas Special. Ho ho ho. I'm your host Matt and I'm joined by Rob and Guff to talk about some festive films.
Hello.
Hello. How you guys doing?
Are we just not going to talk about the ho ho ho? I've really tried to contain. Like, do you know when you just don't notice something at first, then you're like, wait, what?
What was that?
What was that? You say ho ho ho.
I did say ho ho ho. It's festive, isn't it?
Festive, I suppose.
Christmassy.
Yeah.
You guys all right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm saying this because we've just recorded another podcast just before this, but
and we've been playing Overwatch for 2 hours.
Lifting the curtain.
The illusion of production.
That, we're having a lovely little chat.
But this is the first time we're speaking.
Yeah, it's good to hear you're both great. Today we're going to be talking about The Nightmare Before Christmas. Actually, no, sorry, to give it its official name, Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas. Even though he didn't write or direct it, it's called Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas. I don't really know why.
It's based on a poem
I know why.
He wrote, isn't it?
Yeah,
he wrote a poem in
the
early 80s, and then
and it's based on his artwork as well.
It is, but I'm just like, there's no need, is there? There's no.
If you love it that much, Tim, do it yourself.
I hate when films put like a film by, and it's like, no, like 2,000 people worked on that film. Like, yeah, that's the director, but just it's kind of disrespect. I find it really disrespectful to everyone else that's worked on that film when it's like someone's name, like proper. Like, this is another level that it is known as Tim Burton's. That I'm just like,
Well, is it his choice? That's what I'd like to know. Is it if it's him that decided it, then I'd be like,
Tim Burton
you narcissist.
I don't want my name on. I don't want that. That it wouldn't happen. Do you know what I mean? I feel like if he goes, take that off, then I think it doesn't happen.
I wonder if people would sort of just do like whoever worked and it was like, oh, it's your original vision. We wanna do it for you. I don't know. I'd like to hear the story behind that.
I don't feel like, oh, you're a narcissist for having it, but I feel like if I was ever in that position, I'd go, can we not like have?
Oh, I do.
Like,
yeah,
that personally, because I remember once I did a short film and someone put that on the poster of the short film, like a Matthew J. Hall film, and I was like, yeah, can we take that off, please? I was like, one, it's like a short film made for like $1,500, but also like 20-30 people worked on this film. Let's not put that on there. Thank you very much.
That was such a great humble brag as well, because it was I know it was true. I know it wasn't a deliberate humble brag, but it was a fucking stellar humble brag, my dude. Like, that's a really good humble brag.
It's not. I paid for it myself.
I think that is the definition of a humble brag. Like, but not the negative one that's come out recently. I think it was like, I made this thing.
I made this thing. Anyway, let's talk about the film. Rewind. I hadn't seen this before yesterday. Had you seen it before, Rob?
Yeah, this is like one of Hat's, my wife's favourite Christmas films.
Oh, talking about humble brags, got a wife, has he?
I've seen it a couple of times. I think I maybe only seen it twice before.
I didn't realise how old it was actually until like Googling it. I was like, this was made like before I was born. I was like, I didn't realise this was.
Is it 92?
93. I've got it up here. Oh. I didn't realise it was that like old. I obviously knew it wasn't like last year or something, but I didn't realise it was literally like nearly 30 years old. But
don't remind me.
Oh god! But Guff, have you seen this many times before? I know you have seen it.
Yeah,
before,
this probably was my emo awakening, really, in the grand scheme of things. If I was to think far back enough, I know it was a lot of people's emo awakening. It probably wasn't mine. But I've always liked this.
I was already deep emo by that point. Yeah.
I was already deep emo, demo. No, I was I've always really liked this film. But that being said, I've not watched it. I've not watched it for years. But I watched it last year for the first time in a while. I really like it. I think it's really interesting. Yeah. I think it's like, especially if you appreciate for what it was, because I think we might go further into it, but I think that sort of thing has been done a lot now.
Yeah.
Like sort of gothic fairy tale type stuff, especially very Burton-esque. But I think it sort of set the trend a little bit.
Oh yeah, it's definitely one of those films you can see that so many people have taken influence from it, like further down the line in like so many different mediums and stuff like that.
It's quite short as well, isn't it? I never realised it's only about an hour and 9 minutes.
Yeah, 76 minutes it is. So yeah, an hour and 16 minutes. So yeah, it's really, really short, which I like. I appreciate that. I could have actually done with this being like near an hour and 30, I think, but it is like kind of I don't know, is it a kids film? It's like a PG, and it feels like kiddie in a lot of ways. But I know when it first came out, people were kind of like, oh, it's too dark and like scary for kids, because like some of the monsters and stuff that live in Halloween Town are pretty creepy looking. Like it's not even just a kind of, which I appreciate. It's not just a kind of, make them look scary, but kind of make them look aesthetically nice at the same time. It's just kind of like, no, just do something like that looks really like horrifying and horrible, and like that's cool. But yeah, let's give it a bit of an overview, because I'm presuming people know what this is if they listen to this podcast, but if you don't, or if you've not watched it in a while, so it's stop motion animation, which I absolutely love. Like stop motion, I think it's like such a interesting style of animation that just doesn't get used much nowadays because of like how time consuming it is and how expensive it is. But I always really love it when like I see it. Like what was the one that came out? Kubo was it in the 2-string?
Kubo and
2-strings. Like that was like so good. I absolutely loved that. So I was like dead. I don't know why I've had this on DVD. It's one of those films I've had on DVD for years that I've just not ever got round to watching, because I feel like I've got to watch it at Christmas, and then like last few years I've worked like so much up to Christmas, I've not really watched anything, and then I'm like, oh, Christmas is gone now, I can't put it on now. So
well that's the debate. Is it a Halloween film or is it a Christmas film?
Well,
no one ever really decides. I don't think there's a specific.
It's a lovely in-betweeny kind of thing, isn't it? Like, I suppose it can lead up.
You watch it November 14th or whenever bang between those 2 days would
exactly
be.
in the middle. But anyway, it's set in Halloween Town. Like each kind of holiday has its own like town. So looks like there's like a Valentine's Day town. There's even like a St. Paddy's Day town. I think there's like a shamrock thing on one of the trees.
Everyone big piss up.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's like an Easter one, and obviously like the Christmas Town one. And it kind of follows like Jack going on this. Like I really love the story of this. Like because I didn't really know what the story was particularly going into it. Obviously I knew that it was set in like Halloween Town, and it was this kind of mixture of like horror and gothic stuff and like Christmas stuff as well. But I kind of didn't realise it was this thing of him going into Christmas Town, like discovering Christmas and like almost falling in love with Christmas in a way, and getting this like weird like revitalised life of giving him purpose again, but just kind of him completely getting it wrong. Which I kind of really I think it's very unique, which I kind of really like. I think there's a lot it's like a nice, just something completely different to what you like. Not many people would think to ever do this for a Christmas film, like if that's what we're going to call it. I just think like the idea that there are these little worlds and they all live in their own towns, which are where they run the holiday, and then but they can go into like, obviously they don't really go into each other's ones because otherwise they would all understand all of them, but he just kind of stumbles upon it and then just weirdly falls in love with Christmas.
I would say it's very West-centric though, isn't it? There's no Eid, Diwali.
No, yeah. I mean, there are...
Come on, Tim Burton, mate.
There are... Well, with the Oogie Boogie Man, there's a lot of racist things with that. Apparently the writer did beg Tim Burton to change the name of the Oogie Boogie Man, but he refused, apparently.
Really?
But I don't know if that was a controversy at the time, because it's not in like a section on the Wikipedia page, but I read recently an article with the writer saying she absolutely like begged him to change the name of it, because it's not what he wasn't like, you know, I don't think it's one of those things where people look at it and go, oh, there are racist undertones there, but it's kind of like that is used as a racist like term. And
is it?
like,
I've never heard
I
that.
didn't really know the significance of it. I'm probably doing a bad job of explaining it, but there are like racial undertones with that phrase aimed at like scary black people sort of thing historically. So apparently she begged, and I think it is voiced by a black person as well, if I'm correct. I'll check. Yeah, it is. But
yeah, that's not too cool. But
no, that's not cool.
Not
but
great,
I don't think like I don't think it's like the crows in in Dumbo, is it?
Dumbo, yeah,
which is like very much a...
Or the Aristocats with the Siamese cats.
Yeah, I don't think it's quite like that. I think it's just an unfortunate name that they should have changed. I mean, I could be wrong here, so I'm not.
I mean, I
suppose,
suppose,
but they probably should have changed it. But
yeah, because obviously, I think its intention is Boogeyman, isn't it? Like, it's the intention is obviously a reference to the Boogeyman and like the creature that, you know, lives under your bed and that sort of thing. But yeah, I suppose through that context, like, I mean, I would have never. I've never heard that term before, so I would never have made that connection. But yeah, as soon as you know it, you can see why. And like, I think nowadays people would obviously be a bit more sensitive, like to that. It feels like a bit unfortunate that Tim Burton because that's clearly going like, well, my intention is Boogeyman, and I want to keep it that way, regardless of the racial undertones. It's like you should probably think about the racial undertones more than being precious about the name of a character. Like,
I don't think it would happen today.
Yeah, thankfully it wouldn't happen today.
No, I'm just reading here though. But apparently, the guy, Ken Page, who played him, who was a singer, had no problem with the name of it. Apparently, there you go. But yeah, what? No, just no. Yeah. What do you think of it, Rob? You've been...
Yeah, I like it. I'm not really a big Tim Burton fan, to be honest. I find him a bit like, look how quirky I am.
Yeah, can very
I guess
much be
this
like
is
that,
a bit pre that, so I kind of do prefer it to most of his stuff. I think it's like you. I think I quite like how unique the story is. It's not like a traditional Christmas story, which I like. I like a lot of the characters. I can't say I love it, but it's I think it's good.
I would say I think I enjoy the premise more than the actual final film itself. Not that I didn't enjoy it; I did enjoy it. But I don't know if it is the age of it kind of thing and kind of the length of it and stuff like that. I'd kind of love to see someone do this today and kind of bring a little more to it. But then I suppose you make it more complicated, maybe you ruin it, sort of thing. Like I'm not sat here going I was disappointed with it. I didn't enjoy it. But at the same time, I'm kind of like I feel like they could have done more, but then I don't know what that more is. I know that's not very useful, but you just get like a feeling. You kind of like I wonder what more they could have actually done with it. And I think I enjoyed the start a lot more than I didn't particularly like when you start seeing the like real world in it. I don't know if it's just because I didn't like the way the kids and the adults and stuff are like animated. I think they just like don't look great, considering all the Halloween-y kind of elements just look. And I hate how Santa looked as well. I really don't like how he's designed in this film. But
really,
I don't know why. I don't know. I think some of it's designed incredibly well, like all the Halloween stuff is, and I didn't particularly feel anything for the other design of the more like real world stuff and the modern and the Christmassy stuff.
What would you have preferred?
I would have actually preferred them to have been more abstract when he went into the real world, and not really see, because there's a bit where the policeman's getting loads of phone calls, but you can't really see the policeman's face because he's covered by like a police sign, and I'm like, I would have much preferred them kind of do that you kind of get hints of people being around, but we never
see like silhouettes at times.
Yeah,
don't
it's
you,
like seeing
windows
silhouettes and stuff rather than actually seeing them. I think it would have been a bit more interesting.
That's fair enough.
But that said, I don't know 100% what more I would kind of want from it. I know that I love the premise. Like as soon as it started, I was like, and he's kind of feeling quite unfulfilled by Halloween now because he's spent so long doing Halloween and stuff, and he discovers Christmas and he's like, yeah, this is cool, I want to do this sort of thing. And like that weird thing as well that he almost feels like he's giving Santa Claus like a night off, and he's like, no worries pal, I've got this. And it's like you've actually kidnapped him and you're terrorizing everybody. But I did like that element.
That's Halloween time.
Yeah, exactly. I liked the idea that he felt like he was doing a good thing. Like it was never a Grinch kind of thing of going, I'm going to ruin Christmas, ha ha ha. I love this thing if he was just really enthusiastic and he'd fallen in love with Christmas and was like, I just want to make Christmas like, I want to spread that joy rather than being like scaring people and that all the time. But kind of in the end being like, well, you kind of can't not scare people in a way, sort of thing, with his with the way he is. But it's weird because I'm kind of talking about it, I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I really enjoy it, but like, I don't know if the kind of premise and what it went for fully came through. I don't know what, do you know what I mean? I feel like I didn't have any of these strong feelings to it as I was kind of watching it, but then when I think about it, I'm like, I like that element, but it kind of didn't all come through when I was watching it, which is bizarre. I don't really know
maybe it's
why.
one of those that you'll appreciate on a rewatch, like maybe, a bit more, because like maybe it's that thing of expectation. I personally love this film. Like I remember watching it when I was young a few times. I think my sister quite likes it as well, so like I mean, I think we've always quite, as like a family, we used to watch like not necessarily all Tim Burton's films, but I think I've always like quite liked. Like I watched Sleepy Hollow recently. Like I think that's a really good sort of dark gothic sort of fantasy film. And again, like I must admit, I'm a little bit tired of Tim Burton's more recent stuff. Like again, I think it's maybe a bit too.
I think before it became
caricatured
like a gimmick for him,
yeah,
it was genuinely good, and now it's like, ooh, I've got to be Tim Burton, I've got to be wacky and weird.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think that's it, and I really like this, and like I sort of forgot that it was. I mean, I didn't actually realize it was based on a poem Tim Burton wrote until recently, but like thinking it makes a lot more sense actually. But like I really like the runtime and everything, and like maybe that's again. I suppose you could almost say I watched it for the first time last year because it was so long ago. That gap between it. So watching it as an adult was a far different experience. But I really liked the sort of runtime. I think it does everything really well. I don't think it needs any more. I think I want more. Like I like that world. I love that aesthetic, and I think there's a desire to see it. But I don't think it needs more because I like the story with like Sally. I like the love story. I like the fact that I think like her and obviously like it's a bit Romeo and Juliet-y where it's like, you know, you've got the and I mean Juliet-y with a Y, not I know her name isn't Juliet-y.
Romeo and Juliet.
Yes, I realise how that sounds. Romero and Juliet, I think it's called. That whole sort of star-crossed lover aspect, and you know the dad being like, you know, you can't leave the tower almost, and also, I think it's quite an interesting look on like writer's block or like artist sort of lack of creativity and like stuck in a rut.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and I wonder if that's something he wrote about like deliberately. Like I wonder if that's like a deliberate thing, obviously as an artist himself, because like the art style is based on his. And I actually researched it a bit for like a project at college because I never knew he was an artist. And then I looked at his artwork and it's all very similar, you can imagine, but it's really cool. Like he does some interesting artwork, but it is like really interesting to sort of think about is that his sort of almost outlet for maybe creative sort of ruts, like trying to find something new, and like the idea that Jack Skellington is essentially, you know, this, you know, he's essentially a a party planner. Yeah. He's in events management
he's
essentially.
The Great Gatsby.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's the Michael Shannon, you could say, of I think. Go watch the previous episode. Go listen to the previous episode if you don't know what we're talking about. But yeah, no, he's I really like that sort of idea that like he just finds something new and exciting that no one else really understands. Like no one else gets it, but it's like he just falls in love with this thing. And yeah, I don't think he necessarily needs any more. I personally really like the art style throughout. Like I think. Again, like I do actually remember when you see sort of more hints of the human people, I'm like, that looks better than actually introducing them, and I think that would have been more clever. I think that would have been more interesting, and it again separates you from that world a little. I don't mind seeing Santa, but I think seeing all those people, I think it gives you that nice separation between like the monsters of Halloween Town, the ethereal creatures like Jack Skellington and, you know, Santa, and then humans. Like there's a nice separation there, but so I can understand where you're coming from with that. But I really do like where that goes. But I think I definitely love the style more than the story. I love the music. I absolutely love the music. I know, obviously, all Danny Elfman in it.
It is.
Yeah. He also voices the singing, doesn't he?
Yeah, he sings for Jack. Yeah.
Voices of singing was a weird way of saying it.
Well, it's like he rarely does the singing. Like he rarely sings on stuff. But it's cool to. It was cool to see. Anyway, like, because obviously he mostly does scores. It was cool to sort of see Danny Elfman's take. I mean, I say that, but I think that's in retrospect because obviously this is one of the earlier things he did. While now there's loads of scores by Danny Elfman that we've heard over the years. Yeah. But it's almost nice to go like, oh yeah, he did a musical, like he wrote a musical essentially, and I think it's really cool. I love the music in it. Like I find myself singing some of them every now and again. Like if I have to ask myself what is something, I will sing "What's This" for about half an hour afterwards.
Yeah.
Like if I have to ask myself, like, "What's this?" I go, "What's this? There's something in the air." But again, I love all of it. Like it's classic Danny Elfman, Tim Burton, and again, I think this film probably almost solidified that, because even though we had Batman '89, obviously in '89, before it, we sort of saw that in a live action sense, but I think the fact that this is like, it's full Burton, full Danny Elfman. It's like Danny Elfman going, I'm not writing a score, I'm writing an entire piece of music. I'm writing like, lyrics and all sorts, and like obviously Tim Burton going, this is hand drawn. This is well, not hand drawn, but do you know what I mean? Like this is animated in a way that I make no compromise. This is all sort of. I know, obviously, we said other people worked on it, but it's close to where I imagine his vision, and feels like it's directly pulled out of his brain, especially when you look at a lot of the artwork that he does. It's directly pulled from that. So I feel like it's almost quintessential Tim Burton.
Yeah.
Even though obviously he's done more live action.
Can I talk about Tim Burton's misunderstanding of science and how science works?
Please, Doc.
Yeah.
There's a bit in it. So when Jack Skellington gets his science theory book out, and he's doing all his experiments, and he's like, and there's a bit where it's like, a reaction, but what does it mean? It's like, you should know what the outcome of your experiment means, mate. You start an experiment with a hypothesis, you ask a question, you don't just randomly do shit, because then you don't know what happens at the end. Why is
this an actual criticism or a skit?
It's in my head. I was watching it, I was like, this is a...
Can we stop? Can we cut the recording a second? Are you doing a bit here? Is this real?
I don't know if he's serious. I can't tell by his face whether he's serious or not.
I'm deadly serious,
He's probably
mate.
serious.
Why is he not doing tests? Why is he not forming hypotheses? Testing those hypotheses, and then he'd know what the outcome of his test meant. Instead of just doing random things.
I think you're an immortal being who probably has stopped caring about things. Like, he's like, I'm just gonna.
But it takes him like a year, mate. It takes him a year to like get to the point, and he's still not figured anything. He could have done it in a week if he'd got a hypothesis at the start and tested that.
He sat down and planned it.
Yeah,
it's just not as exciting though.
It's
maybe he's a
for anyone out there,
not a sitter.
We don't just throw random stuff together, see what happens, and then try and figure out what happens.
Yeah, maybe it's a bad depiction of like other scientists. It's like, please compete. But you know what? I must admit, I don't think I've ever heard anyone just going like, why is this COVID vaccine taking so long? Jack Skellington could have got it done in no time. I don't think.
No, the opposite. Jack Skellington would have taken him. He would have never done it because he's got no hypothesis.
He's
would
just
never.
I don't think test tubes.
I don't know what it means, though, do I?
I don't think everyone. I can't
Not surprised you don't know what it means, mate. You didn't have a question.
I can't imagine anyone.
Christmas was what is Christmas, but I don't know why he's figuring it out by putting stuff in test tubes. But
I'm sick of scientists being poorly depicted in the media. To be honest, it does my head in. Either the bad guys. Oh, look at these scientists again.
What about him?
Oh, look at these dodgy scientists doing stuff, doing experiments again. No. Yeah. This is it.
Holding women hostage. Right, that's what scientists do. Hold women hostage and don't know what they put random stuff in test tubes.
I love this. This is the hill.
Yeah.
Rob dies on. Yeah. Like, of all the mad scientists in media, I'm Jack fucking Skellington. Sick of Nightmare Before Christmas. How dare you? You bring us a bad name, Burton. I'm gonna be a Burton.
Speaking of Sally, we've not really spoken much about her. I absolutely love her design and like how I think with stuff like this, like animation. I think a lot of animation nowadays is very generic and just kind of, the art style can look nice, but they don't do anything like interesting or exciting with the style of the animation and what they can actually, like, an example is like Into the Spider-Verse had a great like style and did a lot of really cool stuff, like the style kind of informing the story and being more than just a medium to show the film. It like evokes so much tone and storytelling and like really, really cool. And I think with stuff like this, like just little clever little things that they're able to do with like the design of things, like Sally like taking her arms off and stuff and using them for like other things and like taking her legs off and all. I just find stuff like that like really just like quirky and quite satisfying to see, and like the way she just like when she escapes, like she all falls apart, but then she starts sewing herself back together again, and it is kind of, because it's stop motion, kind of almost breaking a bit of a fourth wall kind of thing of being like putting the little toy back together sort of thing. But I just really enjoyed little stuff like this, and I think this film had like a lot of really nice, just understated little animation bits and pieces that are just kind of there to kind of make the world feel a bit more like lived in, and it's got its own kind of thing going on, rather than just being like, oh yeah, it's just this creepy town sort of thing.
It feels a bit like a collage at times as well, which I think's really nice, because like, you know, not only like you say you get these like, but am I right in saying it's like bits where ghosts appear, but they're like, they look like cell animation drawn ghosts, like they look like traditionally drawn.
Yeah, at the start, which is cool.
Yeah, like I like stuff like that where it's like a nice mix. It's like they haven't. It's sort of almost. It's weird to say it makes them look more ghostly, because you know, like, because in a world where everything's sort of, I suppose it's still 3D, because obviously it's, you know, it's all modelled, but it you know, you want something to separate that, and I think the ghosts being sort of cartoony in a more traditional sense like works really well. But talking about the design of like characters, I love Zero, man. Zero the dog is such a pleasing thing to look at, like the idea of like it, because it's like that traditional thing of like a ghost sort of with some cloth. Do you know what I mean? Like putting like as a ghost costume, you just put a bit of like cloth over you. So you see like the wispy, almost like edges of the mattress, like where his legs would be, but obviously it's the shape of a dog, and obviously he acts as like Rudolph because of his red nose. I love that. Like I just think that's a really nice bit of. Is there a documentary on this? Because I'm just wondering if like I'd love to see how this was made. I'd love to see behind the scenes and how this was made. I might look it up.
I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the design of this is stunning.
Yeah, I'd really like to watch it again. Like, I'm going to watch it again at some point, and as you say, I think maybe not like I was expecting anything else. Like, just, you know, sometimes it's a mood thing, isn't it? Like, because I'm kind of here thinking about it, and I'm like, I like that. There's kind of I didn't really like the real life bits, but apart from that, I'm kind of like, but it didn't like wow me. So sometimes you like rewatch stuff when you've been in that. Not that I was in like a mood when I watched it, but you just go, oh, actually, yeah, I really enjoyed that on like a second viewing more than I did the first time. So it's definitely one I'm going to go back to and watch again. I think it's. I can imagine one's film as well. Like if I saw it on TV like around Christmas, I'd be like, oh yeah, stick that on, because it's just like a nice thing to kind of have on in the background, like good songs, like really nice looking like animation and stuff like that.
I think it feels Christmassy as well, because like even. Not just the Christmas setting, but like Halloween Town being like sort of this dark. I know it's obviously very Halloweeny, but it feels wintry because it is like nighttime and stuff, and like you have this sort of piano-y music and things like that. It feels like, and like the sort of soft keys of like a piano, like sort of chiming a lot, because there's a lot of that. It feels like reminiscent of sort of instruments that are found in like music, Christmas songs. So I think like. I sort of joked at the start, but I do think this is a Christmas film. Like I think it's a Christmas film over a Halloween film, because it is about Christmas. It is about someone finding the joy of Christmas, and it's predominantly, you know, aimed at a Christmas setting. But I think again, all those elements, like you have this music that sounds quite almost like fantasy-like and almost sort of ethereal and. Like sort of soft keys and things like that. Like normally when you think of like Halloween or Halloween films, you might think of like horror films, and you might think of like, you know, sort of sharp sort of like violin or strings and stuff like that, stuff that you find typically in that. But I think the fact that the music is the way that it is, and it's like this dark fantasy, I think, because even again, like watching Sleepy Hollow, another film that I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if it was Danny Elfman, with it being a Tim Burton film, but that's like a dark fantasy. That's the music on that is quite similar, but it feels like, again, a dark fantasy, not a Christmassy film. Well, I think the music in this is very much made in a particular way to set a mood throughout.
It's strange because like Tim Burton, even though he's like, oh, I'm dark and I'm mysterious, it's like, dude loves Christmas, doesn't he?
Goths love Christmas too.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? He's kind of like, oh yeah, I'm a goth, but ooh, Christmas and snow and presents and stuff, like, which I kind of appreciate. And like, I think, one of my favourite things about this film is that it is a Christmas film, but it's just done in, like, a very different way. It's not like a just happy families at Christmas sort of thing. And but a bit of conflict, but we all know it's going to be happily ever after in the end. I just really appreciate that this is like something different, but it has those Christmassy elements, and it feels like it has like a nice ending, and it's nicely wrapped up and finished by the end and stuff. I really appreciate that.
Can we take a moment just to appreciate how fucking annoying those kids are?
Oh god, yeah.
The three kids, I fucking hate them so. I forget what the names are, but they're so annoying. But I love how they sort of look like the masks.
Yeah,
like when the masks come off and they still sort of look like that. I rate that.
It's like, why are you taking the masks off? There's no point. You look exactly the same.
Yeah, like I think that's my only sort of critique when I rewatched it as an adult is that like I know we were sort of talking about the controversy a little bit of like Oogie Boogie, but I think as a villain he's quite interesting, and like you don't see him very much because obviously it is the short run time. I'm a fan of the Kingdom Hearts series of games, and in Kingdom Hearts 2 there's a whole world.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's in it, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's like the main protagonist, so it's like that's quite nice because it's like he's actually like quite a foreboding villain when you give him some time and like give him a bit more of a villainous arc. So part of me was like I suppose like in your vein, Matt, it's like I kind of want to see more of this world a little bit because I do almost would like to see a more fleshed out maybe action based one, because I think there's like not that it gives away that, but I think the aesthetic lends itself well to like action stuff a little bit. But I think this is a charming little, and like you said, quite unique film. I think no one seems to have done anything like it. Like things like the style's been done a bit like, but you see carbon copies of films a lot, and I don't feel like anyone's ever. I can't think of anything I think. Oh, that's just The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's like so unique. If you try to rip it off, you would just have to rip the whole thing off, really.
Yeah,
like,
that's true. Yeah.
Because I love the premise, and I was like, I feel like you could do loads of this premise, but then it's like, I bet no one has, because everyone would just go, you're just ripping off Nightmare Before Christmas, like blatantly ripping it off, so you can't really like do anything else with it, I suppose.
Yeah. The closest thing to it is probably The Grinch, and again, that's still such a, like, just in terms of like stylistically and like, because there's like use of like swirls and like shapes like that a lot, like that sort of motif, and that's probably the closest thing to it. But again, I don't think you'd ever compare those two films and say they're exactly the same film, by no means. Do you know what I mean?
No,
like, it's still, I think, I love this film, personally. I'm going to rewatch it this year, actually.
Here we go.
You've sort of talking about it's made me want to watch it.
You've inspired yourself. Any more for any more, anybody? I've said my fill. I like this film. I will rewatch it at some point, and
it's interesting the direction we're going in, considering the next film we'll end up talking about.
Yeah, because I was just going to say, I like that this little series has become like 3 very different Christmas films, but also none of them traditional Christmas films. So, should we say what we're going to do next episode? Should we tease that? Or
can do. We're definitely doing it, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah, we'll tease it then. I don't. You can cut that out if you want, Rob. I don't know. But yeah, next episode we're going to be talking about Krampus, which I didn't realise it's got comedy elements, right?
Yeah.
So like, I always just thought it's like a horror, which again I think that's really cool. Like people going, it's a Christmas film, but horror, and then I was like, it's also a comedy. Okay, cool.
It's definitely more of a horror, but it's definitely because it's got like a comedy cast. It's like Adam. Oh, what's his name?
Sandler.
No, from Parks and Rec.
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott.
Has it got Adam Scott in it?
He's the lead, yeah.
Oh, is
I'm
it?
really excited now.
I was going to say, I'm looking
forward to it now.
Yeah, he's leading it. It's really good. I think is it Amy Hahn? Oh no, I might be making that up. I can't remember if she's in it. Catherine Hahn, sorry, not Amy Hahn.
Is she in it?
I think I'm going to double check. I'm going to look the cast up real quick. It's a great cast.
I love Catherine Hahn.
Let me find it real quick.
But yeah, we're going to be chatting about Krampus.
That's not even a fake keyboard noise, that everyone. That was
real.
That's how fucking good my mic is. Oh no, it's not. It's not Catherine Hahn. Sorry, it's Toni Collette. We've got
Toni Collette's so good.
MJ Anthony, who's what's he in? He's a young lad. He's a young actor, but he plays like the young lad in it. But yeah, Adam Scott's the main dad, I suppose you could say.
Nice.
Yeah, it's really good. I really love it.
Cool. So yeah, that's next.
Oh, it's the lad from Chef. It's the boy from Chef. He's in it.
Oh, is it?
Oh, I'm back on
board. It's a roller coaster. Okay, cool. So yeah, we're going to be chatting about Krampus next episode. I don't know if we do these weekly, but the next episode will be about Krampus. If you only caught this episode, we did a previous one about The Night Before with Seth Rogen, Anthony Mackie, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. So go and check that out as well.
And look forward to our 4th episode, which is the night before Krampus.
Yeah, The Night Before Krampus, everybody. But yeah, thank you for listening. All our socials are linked below. Go and like us on all of them. Go and follow our YouTube. Got loads of videos coming up on there. And also go follow us on Twitch, because we've now got 100 followers on Twitch, but we don't want to stop there. And we've got a big 12-hour celebration stream on the 28th? Yeah, 28th of December. So that's going to be good fun on Twitch as well. But yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time for a bit of Krampus.
Bye.
Bye.